Why do I feel like nothing matters? The fire had settled into a steady glow, its flames low but alive, licking at the cool night air. Sparks drifted upward like slow-moving stars, vanishing into the dark. The old man leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees, palms open to the warmth. For a while, no one spoke. The wind moved gently through the trees, and somewhere in the distance, an owl called. Then he cleared his throat. Funny thing, he began, his voice rough but calm. How man can wake up one day and find that the world hasn't changed, but somehow everything feels like it has. A few of the listeners shifted closer. There was a fellow I once knew, he continued. Not the kind you'd notice in a crowd. Steady sort. Had his routines, his goals, his reasons for getting up each morning. Or at least, he used to. The old man reached for a small stick and nudged a glowing ember. One season, without any great tragedy or turning point, things began to lose their color for him. Not all at once, just fading. Like an old photograph left too long in the sun. A young woman across the fire frowned slightly. What do you mean? He glanced at her, a faint smile in his eyes. I mean, the things that once pulled him forward stopped pulling. The goals he'd chased, they felt distant. Conversations, hollow. Even the small, ordinary moments, like meals, plans, laughter, it passed through him like wind through open windows. He paused, letting the fire crackle. And then came the question. Quiet at first, but persistent. He tapped his chest lightly. What's the point of any of this? No one interrupted. At first, he thought something had gone wrong inside him. The old man went on. Thought maybe he'd lost his drive. So he did what most folks do, try to fix it. New plans, new goals, new distractions dressed up as purpose. He stopped. He shook his head slowly, but none of it reached him. Like throwing stones into a well and never hearing them land. A boy near the edge of the circle leaned forward. So what did he do? The old man chuckled softly. That's the thing. He stopped. Stop, the boy echoed. Not out of wisdom, the old man said. Out of exhaustion. One afternoon, sitting alone, he realized he didn't have the energy left to pretend things mattered when they didn't. The fire popped, sending a brief shower of sparks upward. And in that moment, nothing dramatic, mind you, something softened. He closed his eyes briefly, as if remembering. He didn't try to push the feeling away. Didn't argue with it. Just let it sit there beside him. That quiet sense that nothing mattered. A long pause followed. And when he looked at it more closely, the old man continued. He noticed something strange. It wasn't sharp. Wasn't painful like grief or fear. It was still. Almost peaceful in a way he hadn't expected. The listeners grew quieter. And then, he said, without him doing much of anything at all, things began to shift. He gestured lightly toward the fire. Without all that pressure to achieve, to prove, to become, there was space. Space he hadn't felt in years. The young woman tilted her head. What kind of space? The kind where small things can be noticed again, he replied. The way light moves across a wall. The rhythm of your own breathing. The simple fact that you're here without needing to turn it into something useful. He smiled faintly. Nothing suddenly became important again. That's not how it works. But it stopped feeling empty. It started to feel open. The wind stirred, carrying the scent of smoke through the circle. And in that openness, the old man said more softly, something began to grow. Not a grand purpose. Not some shining answer. Just a quiet sense of being alive again. The boy frowned slightly. But if nothing matters, why feel alive? The old man looked at him kindly. Oh, that's the question he began to ask himself, too. But it changed over time. He leaned back, gazing into the flames. It shifted from, "What's the point of any of this?" to something gentler. He let the silence stretch just long enough. What happens if I stop needing everything to have a point? The words seemed to settle into the fire itself. No thunder. No revelation, he added. Life didn't suddenly become meaningful in some grand, tidy way, but it became livable again, even gentle, and now and then quietly beautiful. The group sat in stillness, the weight of it sinking in. After a moment, the old man drew a slow breath. "You see," he said, "when a man feels like nothing matters, it isn't always because something is broken." He tapped the ground lightly with his stick. "Sometimes it's because the reasons he was given by others, by habit, by the world, no longer ring true." A few heads nodded, almost unconsciously. "And when those borrowed meanings fall away," he continued, "there's a stretch of emptiness, clearing, and most folks panic there. Try to fill it as fast as they can." He shook his head gently. "But that clearing isn't a mistake." The fire dimmed slightly, its glow steady and deep. "It's where something more honest has the chance to begin. Not forced, not inherited, not performed for anyone else." He looked around the circle, meeting each pair of eyes in turn. Just lived. The wind passed softly through the trees again, and no one spoke. At last, the old man leaned back, folding his hands in his lap. "And sometimes," he said, almost to himself, "that's where a man finds a kind of peace he didn't even know he was missing." The fire crackled quietly, as if in agreement.